Welcome to the Selling in the Motor Trade podcast, in association with Simco Training. This is the weekly podcast where we share best practice, tips and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your dealership or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett. Now, some of you probably already know me as Skippy. I want to start by saying thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Selling in the Motor Trade. Listen, today we want to talk about communicating, and specifically communicating over the phone. Now, we all know in the motor trade that it kind of flipped on its head. We used to say that inquiries would come in, walk in, phone inquiry, and maybe email. But actually, hasn't it completely swapped around? It's a digital inquiry. We want to get them to a phone, and from the phone, then hopefully we make an appointment. Now, don't take it the wrong way. Yes, I know people still walk into dealerships around the world, but actually more and more people start their journey on email and phone. So on an email, we talk lots about the different word tracks and how to get people going from a digital inquiry to a phone call. Listen, I've just come back from the NADA conference, and you know what? So many people are saying that people are going to just click and collect. It's mouse to house. But you know what? The last stat I've seen from the National Automotive Dealers Association is still less than 5% complete the whole transaction from start to finish without speaking to some sort of human, an advisor or someone there. Okay. Now, yes, there's always going to be people who will do that. But it's that trust and rapport, the evidence, the data is showing us at the moment people want. So we need to get that trust and rapport over the phone. Okay. So listen, go and have a look at our online training about lots of different ways to get people from a digital inquiry into making the call. When people say, hey, can you tell me, is the car available? If so, what's your best price? And their phone number is 012 345 678. Where do you start with that? Okay. When someone says, can you just give me an idea what my car's worth? I won't hold you to it, just a ballpark figure. Listen, we've got lots of word tracks that, in fact, on our digital training program, we talk about this all the time. I don't believe in just a scripted approach. I think customers can smell a script. Yes, we talk about AI lots and how that can help people. But again, I get worried about that salespeople don't read what ChatGPT has actually done for them. You need to tell chat what good looks like. So many times that people say, oh, we've sorted that, we use chat. Yeah, I know, but chat makes shit up. Okay. You've got to tell it what good looks like to start with. Don't get me wrong. At Simco, we use it lots. Okay. There is a place for it. However, you don't want to open source. You don't want to go into Google finding out different ways to deal with that inquiry there. You need to tell it what good looks like first so it knows where to go from. But listen, that's a complete different conversation. When we've got, and by the way, if you want to talk to us about that, pick our brains, okay? We're all over this at the moment, and it's half my life seems to be dealing with AI stuff at the moment. But let's talk about when your salesperson gets, or if you're the salesperson, listen to this, get someone on the phone. The experts tell us that only 7% of what we communicate as a human are the words. 7%. Now, I always struggle with that, okay? My mother taught me that with a clip around the ear hole. What did you say to get that? It's not what you said, it's how you said it. And 38% is the how it's said, okay? But the other 55% of what we communicate is non-verbal communication, body language, okay? But the downside is over the phone, we lose the vast majority of our communication. Oh, and also that study, trainers talk about that all the time. Don't know if you know this, but it was misquoted, okay? It was a study, UCLA University, and it was only 7% of what we communicate are the words. That's 7% of the emotions, an emotional conversation. I'll give you an example. I'm going to be crude here for a second. I could turn and say, oh, fuck off. And people will laugh at you. I could say, no, fuck off. I mean, there's two completely different meanings to that one. Or I could turn around and say, I love you. Okay. That's completely different to me saying to someone, no, 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 I love you. The second one might end me up in a tribunal or something like that. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. But that was all about emotions. Now, we still train it on our courses as well because buying a car is emotional. But actually, 55% is non-verbal communication. Have you ever spoke to someone on the phone and you have in your mind a picture of what they look like? The person turns up and you think, whoa, hold on for a second. They don't look anything like that. Okay. It happened to me when I left Australia in 95. I had a real thick Australian accent. I'm almost certain in people's minds, they pictured me as 6'4", bleach blonde hair, maybe a surfboard under my arm, maybe a hat with some corks on. And I'd turn up, and if any of you guys have seen me face to face, you know, I'm nothing like that. But actually, people get an image in their mind. You get an image of the customer. So, of course, they're getting an image of you. So the first thing, talking about phone calls, and oh, by the way, we're doing this because I've just listened to a whole lot of phone calls with salespeople. And you can get some salespeople, and they could use exactly the right words in the wrong way. It just doesn't work. Good news, sir. We got 2 or 3 of those cars that should suit what you're looking for. But when's a good time to come in and have a look at it? Later on this afternoon or maybe tomorrow morning? You got more chance of swimming to Australia than you have of that working. In fact, I say sarcastically lots of times, you could almost use the wrong words in the right way to almost have more of an impact. Yeah, got nothing to suit you at the moment. So when's a good time for you to pop in and have a look? Later on this afternoon or maybe tomorrow morning? Okay. However, that's the words and all that has to be fine. But here's one of the biggest things I'm noticing that salespeople are leaving out on that telephone inquiry or when they've gone from digital to the phone call. And it's the trial close question. You see, in a walk-in process, we know that at the end of a demonstration drive, we've trained sales teams for years to make sure the car's right before we talk about the numbers. In fact, sometimes it's called a trial close, a pre-close, a test close, and all you're trying to do is make sure that the car's right before you start talking about the numbers, okay? And the reason for the trial close question is if the car's not right, does it matter how cheap it is? And that's where you start looking for this thing called commitment. And in another episode, we'll talk lots of different trial closes and how to use them in a right way. But we want to make sure the car's right before we get the numbers for commitment, that when we do put the numbers in front of someone, if someone says, well, I need to go and think about it, we have the ability to say, I understand that. Buying a car is a big decision and shouldn't be taken lightly. But listen, when we took the car for a drive, you did say, when we get the numbers right, that's the car you'd like to be driving for the next 2 or 3 years. So sounds like one of these numbers isn't exactly right. And which number you're not 100% sure about? Was it that price of the car? Was it that trade-in figure? Or was it one of those monthly numbers you're not 100% sure about? Okay. And you're just making sure the car's right. It also helps if you've got a buying couple together. They let each other know that that's the car they want. Okay. But when it comes to the phone call, I've heard too many calls this last week where the customer said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm calling from Exeter or I'm calling from Aberdeen. The dealership's on the other end of the country and salesperson's gone straight into, right, well, listen, what I'll do is I'll get you to WhatsApp a few photographs of your car. Or I tell you what, if you click on this link, you'll be able to give you an idea what our car's worth just from our website there. And they haven't done the if I could, would you? They haven't turned around and said, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, can I stop you there? I'd hate to think you come all the way from Aberdeen, you get here and the car's secured. I wouldn't want to do that to you. So can I ask you, if we can get the numbers right based on your description of your car, would you be in a position to leave me £1,000 on either credit or debit card? You need to say that, if I could, would you? Hey, listen, I wouldn't want to do that to you. I wouldn't want you to drive all the way from Cork. You get over here to Letterkenny and the car's been secured. I just wouldn't want to do that to you. So can I ask you a question? If we can get the figures right, based on your description of your car, would you be in a position to leave me 500 euros on either credit or debit card just to secure it? You want that? Yes. Now, then we go one stage further on the phone. Now, please bear in mind, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, the price on your car is going to be based on your description. Now, if it's not as described, clearly we wouldn't be able to honor that. So can I ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being your car was like the day it left the factory, 1 being it's ready for the scrap heap, overall, how would you rate the condition of your car? The numbers are relevant. It's going to be 6, 7, 8, or 9, something like that. Now, when they say 8, oh, great, what's stopping it being a perfect 10? You got a little scuff down the side. Or what's stopping it being a perfect 10? That one of the alloy wheels was used as a parking sensor. Okay. Now, if you just say on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the condition of your car? Every time the customer's going to say 10. It's a 10. The car turns up. It's had more hits, than the Beatles. And we're left saying, what's this all about? Okay. They justify it to themselves saying it is a 10 out of 10 for a 6-year-old car. Okay. Oh, it is a 10 out of 10 for a 6-year-old car. So listen, what we need to do is we need to trial close first. Okay. Now, on a new car customer, if someone's calling from, I don't know, you're in London, okay, and they're calling from Manchester. Hey, Mr. Customer, is your local dealer not looking after you? Well, no, just shopping around. No, I don't blame you. I'd do the same thing. But listen, can I ask you, how much better than your local dealer would it have to be to get you to come to London to buy your lovely new 5 Series? How much better would I have to be? Oh, no, about £2,000. Okay, well, listen, if I could save you £2,000, you'd be happy to come to London to get your lovely new 5 Series. You'll almost hear customers go, yeah, of course I would. Now, clearly I'm going to need an email of the figures you got from your local dealer, just so I can go and beat my boss up. But listen, how much can you get that 5 Series? What, 79,000, 78.5, something like that? No, they're doing it for 78. Wow, that's a sensational deal. Listen, beating that by €1,000, £1,000, that's just not going to be feasible. How flexible could you be? But again, we're looking at that trial close, that commitment for that distance sale. When it comes to the distance sale, too often we're bidding and blowing. Too often I'm hearing salespeople say, all right, you're calling from Edinburgh, you're calling from Sydney, you're calling from Melbourne, okay? And all we're doing is we're putting all the deal together, we're doing all the hard work, and you know and I know the customer's going back to their local dealer on the new inquiry and say, can you beat that by $50? Then we're in a funny place called fucked, okay? Or in that used car, they might lie about the price of their car. In fact, the further away someone is on a used car inquiry, generally the hotter they are. But listen, this is what I'd like you to do. Managers, listen to this. Go back and listen to your call recordings, okay? Use the AI systems if you can to get them to pull out all the questions around trial closing, okay? And see, are you, if you're a salesperson, listen to this, have you done the if I could, would you, before you start getting into negotiating with the distance sale? Hey, listen, that about does it for now. Short one. And listen, next time we might talk about some of those trial close questions and how to get commitment that the car's right before we get into the numbers. Let's talk about it then. Have a great week. That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, simcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn.